Bet horse racing on DRF Bets. We'll match your first deposit of $200. Get free expert picks and past performances, plus weekly cash back. All from Daily Racing Form, the most trusted name in horse racing. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at race number 11 on Pegasus World Cup Saturday at Gulfstream Park. It's a super card. This is a super race. The Grade 3 Pegasus World Cup Filly and Mare Turf Invitational, mile and a 16th on the lawn, 4 and up for the ladies. Let's take a look at this field. It is a pretty competitive group, and you've got some talented mares in here, Mike. Dalika had a very nice 2022, winning half of her 6 lifetime starts. She's won 3 of her last 4. She likes to be forwardly placed. She's going to be facing Queen Goddess, who is still progressive from the West Coast and has done little wrong on the turf. Those 2 horses is sort of a similar running style, however.
Yeah, they do. It does sort of feel like Dalika she just wants to be part of the pace in her races, Dan. And, maybe it'll prove to be a situation here where others go and it sort of takes away her best chance. But overall, it's just really hard to knock her overall form. She's been good distances. She feels like she's very versatile as far as that stuff goes, comes off of an easy win in a Grade 3. I don't know. She's a major player in here for sure.
But your point about the pace is very well taken. And we'll throw up the Timeform US pace projector. And I agree with Timeform US that this has to be a red bar, fast pace. If Dalika's third in the early going, and there's a chance Bay Storm is faster, I do believe that. I'm not sure about Artie's Princess. If Dalika's third early, they're going.
Yeah, I agree with that 100% because you know that Dalika is going to be trying to get to the lead in this race, whether she makes it or not. The 10 will go. I do think the 1 will go also, Dan, Artie's Princess. Her last 2 starts, she didn't have her speed, but prior to that, she was always part of the pace sprinting. And I just kind of feel like if they're going to enter her here and she's going to draw the rail, they're going to go with this horse and try to make the lead.
I think that's an excellent point. Artie's Princess, the questions for her are surface. She's only raced once prior on the turf and has done most of her work on the synthetic surface at Tapeta. And distance, she's stretching out for the first time in her career. Overall, she's really done nothing wrong. 7 of 13 lifetime. Didn't do much running last time out in the Bessarabian at Woodbine back in November, a race that produced a couple of next out winners.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem too, Dan, because while it wasn't her best race, and she's a mare with a little bit of a history of being sort of inconsistent. Her good race is actually pretty good, but you have the surface and the distance questions to answer here, as well as potentially a pretty quick pace, which I don't think will help her too much either. I found her hard to make a case for, but she's going to be a big price if you like her.
Here's the 7-year-old millionaire Dalika. We talked about her. She likes to be forwardly placed. She went gate to wire last time out in the Grade 3 Cardinal. She was simply too fast for that field. She shook loose early, and she did not give up the lead. She's extremely consistent, and it'll be a question of will the pace just be a little bit too fast for her? I respect her ability. I don't want to take too short a price on her, but she is a major factor.
It'll be interesting to see how much money she takes in here because it kind of feels like she could get back down, but she could also wind up being a pretty fair price in here. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. More than anything else, and I'm not going to knock her at all. I kind of feel like Al Stahl deserves a lot of credit for the way he's handled her, man. He's just found great races to run her in, and she shows up every single time and performs. I don't love her in here, but I'm not going to knock her. If you like her, I feel like there is a chance she could make the lead.
Waka Naka is up next, the number 3 in this $500,000 event, and she could take advantage if the pace is fast. Let's watch her most recent start. This is the Fall Harvest at Keeneland, and she is absolutely last and has to alter course off the rail for running room at the 3/16 pole, and she is going to commence an extremely strong rally to get up to win. 93 buyer, a little bit light, Mike, but this horse has always shown some ability. Give her pace, she'll kick. We saw that in the Just a Game at Belmont on Belmont Stakes Day.
Yeah, she ran well in here, sort of coming from last to first to win. You can see those 2 horses that finished last and next to last day. And that was Shantasara, who was going nowhere in the upper stretch, and Dalika, who was part of the pace and really disappointed that day. And Wakanaka just came and ran right by everybody to win. I thought basically all of her races were good last year, save the Woodbine Mile, where she just got in over her head a little bit. I think she's a major player in here. She just needs a trip.
Beat a couple of next out winners in that fall harvest, steps back up in class. Sweet Enough is also rising in class for Roger Atfield. Here's a win in an optional claiming race at Gulfstream, a high-level allowance last time out at 1.1 miles. I thought all in all the trip was good. She was able to tuck in behind the leaders. She finds a seam and she finishes it off at a price.
Yeah, the trip really worked out for her here, and she actually wins pretty easily over a much weaker field. And so I guess it allows them to sort of step up and see where they're at with stakes horses. Dan, she was okay over in England as winning this race, but it's a pretty big step up in class for her.
She got the trip last time out. Mona Stella didn't really get the trip. In her second start off of a lengthy layoff, stretching out off an off-turf synthetic race, she got wired in a slow-paced race. Let's watch the Sunshine Filly and Mare Turf. She tried to come from next to last and wide as the favorite, and she makes it close. She ran really well in this race, and if this race was a little bit easier from a class standpoint, I might be on her a little bit more, but this is a pretty big leap in class.
Yeah, it is, and that's the real question with her. Obviously, I agree with your take on this race, right? I thought she actually ran pretty well just to get up for second in there. The question you have to ask yourself is, do you feel like any of her prior races make you want to bet her back against this kind of field? I really didn't feel like it did, but she could get a much better trip this time.
The number 6 Queen Goddess, one of, if not the best filly and mare turf horse out in Southern California. Let's watch her last race, the Robert J. Frankel, going 1.125 miles. And in this race, she just went right to the front, controlled the pace. She's a big, strong daughter of Empire Maker, and she just handles a weaker bunch. This will be the toughest test of her career, but she's not the kind of horse that needs the lead to win. She can sit a little bit, and I think you can argue that she's so lightly raced, maybe there's another forward move from a buyer standpoint.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a valid argument to make with her, Dan. Does she still have something to prove now against a field like this one? I kind of feel like she does, but I thought she looked good winning that race that we just watched, even if she had just had all the best of it. Easily made the lead in there, never faced a challenge, and just sort of won off through the stretch of that race. But I still thought she looked good winning, and the potential was always there for her. So I won't be surprised if she improves again.
Brendan Walsh sends out the 7 Lady Rockstar, and I thought she ran really well last time out in the Grade 3 Swanee River. We were talking before we came on the air, and I have a bit of remorse that I don't have her higher on my selections. Let's watch that race. She's 3 to 4 wide every step of the way. The pace heated up on the second turn. She was able to stay within range, and she comes with a run, and she's going to get kicked down by a horse on the outside. All in all, a good effort considering it was her first start in, 6 months?
Yeah, this is one of those too. She does run fine in here. She's just sort of grinding through the stretch and she doesn't hold. But it's just one, the more I watched it, I just sort of felt like that was a prep, man. They brought her back going a mile. And Irad had the chance to go forward in that race from the start. And he just sort of sat on the outside. He didn't try to go forward with her. He didn't try to take her back. He just sat 3, 4 wide around the track and let her run through the stretch. I think it's a great jumping off point for a horse who, when she got over here last year, really impressive winning at that allowance race at Churchill. Really impressive winning right back up at Belmont Park, a race where that pace was pretty fast. And she moved early into it and kept going through the stretch.
Justify My Love is the number 8, and this horse got back on the winning track. A group winner in her native in Argentina. She's a Brazilian bred. She scored a second level allowance last time out at Churchill Downs. The fractions were slower, and she was able to stay closer to the pace, and maybe that's key for her. This time around, it's going to be a faster pace, and I'm expecting her to revert to those one-run tactics from 2 and 3 back.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you. We'll see. Listen, we'll see how fast this pace goes because I agree with that. I think it could get fast, but I didn't think it necessarily had to. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do with this mare, who, if nothing else, really has to improve to win here.
The number 9 is Shantasara for Chad Brown and Arad Ortiz, an exceptional 3-year-old filly on the turf. What a season she had. Won the Pucker Up Jockey Club Oaks QE2. Was really looking forward to seeing what she could do in 2022. Her seasonal debut, she ran second to Regal Glory. We know what kind of a year that mare had. She's an Eclipse finalist. She took some bad steps after that race, had to be vanned off. Chad took his time with this mare, came back, even performances we saw last time out. But certainly on her best day, she's easily good enough to win this. Look at the figs 2 and 3 back.
Yeah, I would just say that to me, if she's as good right now as she was when she first got over here, she'll just win this race. To me, she's better than these horses, and I just feel like the only question that you have to ask yourself is, how much do you trust her now? Because after she got vanned off after the Jenny Wiley, where she actually ran very well, by the way, in that Jenny Wiley, vanned off, comes back in the fall harvest, whatever it is, 7 months later, and is absolutely terrible in that race, like almost like she can't run anymore. I think that's a real question, Dan. But if everything's all right with her and Chad enters her here, like everything is all right with her, I just think she's better than these horses.
Bay Storm showed good speed last time out in the Swanee River. That wasn't a surprise. She was stretching out for the first time in her career. She tried to steal away from that field on the turn, and she was run down by both Stolen Holiday and Lady Rockstar. Frankie Dettori takes the mount. He's going to try to send Bay Storm out of there early. I'm worried about distance, pace, and class.
Yeah, I guess they will just try to make the lead again with her. I really like her as a sprinter, Dan. I have no interest in betting her in races like this.
I wonder if you can make a case at a price to at least hit the board are number 11, Perseverancia. And this horse last time out was wired by Delica, who got absolutely loose. This pace scenario could be 180 degrees different. Looking back at some of her prior races, however, I don't especially love what I've seen, but the last race was promising enough against the wrong pace scenario.
Yeah, true. I would say I remember going back, I think when she was a 3-year-old, when she broke her maiden up at Woodbine, I remember being pretty impressed with her and feeling like she might, really have a career in front of her. I guess it never really happened. I'll just say this about her last race. Yeah, the pace was probably too slow, and they just sort of sat at the back and didn't really do anything. The flip side is Leparoux, after that, sort of just gave her a real chance there. He sat on the rail. He was able to cut the corner and actually get into contention there, and she ran on. I do like her last couple of races, Dan. I'm going to throw her in there at a price.
Wide open race, the Pegasus Filly and Mare Turf. Let's take a look at our top selections for this race. I like where you're going, Mike. And again, as I said, I wish I had Lady Rockstar closer. I just thought last time out off the layoff, everything you said about it being a prep was true. And I thought the trip didn't work out either. Wide both turns.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it. I think Shantasara is the horse to beat in here, Dan. But just based on what's been going on with her lately, I have no interest in betting her in here at a short price. And I'm all about Lady Rockstar in here.
Yeah, I don't want to bet her at a short price, Shantasara, either. I feel the same way about Delica if she takes that kind of money based on what she did in 2022. Queen Goddess, I think, has a little bit more upside potential than some of the others in here, and I believe can work out the right trip. I like Mike's top pick, though. 7-9-3-11 for Mike, 6-2-1-11 for me. It's a great card at Gulfstream on Saturday. Pegasus World Cup Saturday. Best of luck.